Everyone, and I am back for my very first Criterion Collection review. Um, or my first official Criterion Collection review. I'm really excited to start this. Recently, I've gotten sort of into the history and the curation and that things of that nature of the Criterion Collection. I have a small collection of Criterion films, eight, I think, yes, on DVD. But for my personal Criterion review series, I'm starting naturally at the very beginning with Spy Number One, La Grande Illusion, the 1937 French escape film, which I enjoyed far more than I thought I would. I actually sort of started this film a couple months ago when my friends and I were doing a Criterion watch along, which I at the time was intrigued by but not too interested in. So I actually only ended up watching one of them, even though we had like 9 or something that we went through, which was 400 Blows, which I did enjoy, and obviously I'll be getting up to that soon because I think that's Spy Number 5. But I did start it. I watched a few minutes, and the beginning starts off in just a French military base, and I honestly thought that that's what the whole entire movie was going to be. I didn't know anything about it. I hadn't heard anything. I hadn't read any reviews. So I sort of dismissed it, and I just closed the page, and I didn't watch it anymore. So when I restarted it this morning, I recognized the beginning, but then basically right after the point where I had stopped, it transitioned, bam, straight into a German, World War One German prisoner of war camp. And I was surprised, and it ended up being a lot better than I thought it would be. So let's start off with a quick summary. The Grand Illusion follows the story of the Lieutenant Marshal, a French sort of working class guy, along with his Captain de Bourdieu. I don't speak French, so sorry if I butcher the pronunciations. And alongside a group of other prisoner French officers, including Rosenthal, who becomes one of the more main characters. And it's an escape film. They try to get out a couple of times, and in that set of escapes, they get sent off to a more high security prison. That's basically a fortress. It's on top of a plateau, and it's like a castle. It's pretty crazy, and it's you can just expect what it'll be. There's going to be different clever escapes. There's going to be characters bouncing ideas off of each other, and it's a lot more interesting than I thought it would be. So for the actual review, this movie is a lot funnier and a lot more not necessarily funny, but has humorous and upbeat tones that I was not expecting. It's a World War One film. It's a war film, but it doesn't have any fighting. It's all of it takes place in prisoner of war camps with these French officers sort of scooting around. And I'm sorry, I think there's someone parking just outside with the radio. I don't know if the camera's getting that, but they're just a funny group. They one of the guys, who I can't remember his name, is especially just the joker of the group, and he's always singing and bouncing around and taking the best of every situation he gets into, and he gets into some weird situations. And it's honestly, it makes the movie a lot more personal and comedic, and shows the best of humanity. And alongside that hopefulness is the French patriotism, which this movie has a lot of. There's a lot of, like in Casablanca, where they're all singing and just being proud of their country. Lots of French patriotism, which goes along with their upbeat, their positivity. And it's a French film, and you can expect that. And I honestly thought that it made the tone a lot more interesting. Because I really could have gone for just a dark and gritty atmosphere for this, but really you don't feel depressed or sad. Like, it's not a crushing movie like you could have expected it to be for a prisoner movie, really. This movie is also primarily in French, obviously, but because it takes place in Germany, and there are also prisoners from other countries during the war as well. It switches between French, German, and occasionally English, like few sentences of English. And this is not a knock on the movie, but the captions on the website that I was watching this on could not keep up. They kept sort of switching, and people would be talking in French and German, and for some reason they just didn't do the closed captioning completely. So there might have been a couple lines that I missed, but it didn't take away from my enjoyment of the movie. So that's no knock against the movie. A couple negatives that I have after gushing so much about the movie is that I really think it starts too quickly. As I said, it goes straight from the French military camp to the prisoner of war camp within just seconds. Like really, it's about a minute and a half that it switches, and I really think that it starts too quickly. You don't really get to know the main characters that well. You just really learn their relationships throughout the movie, or how they interact with each other, and that kind of leaves them feeling connected, but not necessarily personalized, because you don't know their history, you don't know their motives really, and I don't know. It just a gripe that I have. Also, another thing is that it's kind of hard to tell how much time passes between scenes, because it sort of just jumps from moment to moment. Like a scene will end, just fade out, and then there'll be a newspaper, and it could be like 2 weeks later or something. I don't know. Interesting, but not necessarily bad. This movie, just a little bit of trivia as well, was the first foreign film to be nominated for an Oscar. It was nominated for Best Picture in 1937. And, I mean, that's really quite interesting. And it's also obviously the first film to be released by the Criterion Collection. Again, I don't know. I know they used to do Laserdiscs and VHS, but I do not know if they did La Grande Illusion for the first one of those. But it's the first of the DVD Blu-ray section of the Criterion Collection. So, little trivia, my review. I thought it was great. Surprisingly humorous. Has a lot of depth of character and atmosphere, and I enjoyed it. It's an 8 out of 10 for me. I have a few gripes about it, which prevent me from giving it a higher score, but it is a movie you should see, especially if you want to get into Criterion, considering it's the first spine. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Stay subscribed for more movie reviews, my continuing Criterion watch-along, which I may or may not do in order. We will see. I've already watched about 20 Criterion movies in the past few years. So either I just review those one day, or I will wait till I get to them in the spine order. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in another video. Bye.